the Igbos are more or less the type of people whose desire is mainly to dominate everybody. If they go to a village, to a town, they want to monopolize everything in that area. If you put them in a labor camp as a laborer, within a year they will try to emerge as headman of that camp, and so on. Well, in the past, our people were not alive to their responsibilities, because you can see from our northernization policy that in 1952, when I came here, there weren't 10 northerners in our civil service here. Then I tried to have it northernized, and now all important posts are being held by northerners.
Is this policy of filling all key posts in the north solely with northerners and not with other Nigerians a temporary or permanent one?
In actual fact, what it is a northerner first. If you can't get a northerner, then we take an expatriate like yourself on contract. If we can't, then we can employ another Nigerian, but on contract too. This is going to be permanent, I should say, as far as I can foresee, because it will be rather dangerous to see the number of boys who are now turning from all our learning institutions coming out with having no work to do. I'm sure whichever government of the day might be, it will feel rather embarrassed, and it might even lead to bloodshed.
Doesn't this damage the idea, sir, of all people in all regions in Nigeria being fellow citizens of one country?
Well, it might, but you are, new to our region, but how many northerners are employed in the east or in the west? The answer is no. And if there are, there may be 10 laborers employed only in the two.
Very much pro-Biafra, in the sense that I recognize the fact that the Igbo have been wronged very desperately. They've been brutalized in a way that justified their feeling they were not part of the nation. Let me also say this. Biafrans were not entirely innocent in this affair. They were not. But the unleashing of such venom, such devastation on them as a people was sufficient to justify their decision not to want to be part of the nation. So I was pro-Biafra in the sense that I felt they needed justice.
With their educational advantage, the Igbos spread throughout the country as traders and public servants. But in the impoverished north, their presence was not always welcome.
There was resentment in the north towards the Igbos because they thought that they occupied everything in the place. They were civil servants, they were railwaymen, they were teachers. They wanted the Igbos to go home because they had taken the jobs of all the northerners.
In 1966, the bubble of resentment that had been building for years against the Igbos burst in a rage of communal violence. Northern civilians and soldiers rose in a vicious ethnic pogrom. Thousands of Igbos lost their lives. Hundreds of thousands more fled home to the east. When the federal government proved incapable of halting the pogroms, Ojukwu, then a colonel and military governor of eastern Nigeria, grasped the opportunity. Showing from the first a gift for propaganda, Ojukwu mobilized the Igbos for secession from the north.
Ojukwu's public relations were very good. See, propaganda necessarily appeals to the senses and sensibilities of people. Along with Biafra, the northerners were going to advance.
People worry that what Boko Haram is doing right now in the north might lead to a breakup of Nigeria. Others say we are too interwoven to split. Where do you stand?
And carry on the jihad and kill everybody off in eastern Nigeria and dip the Quran in the sea. That was the euphemism used.
Even the president said they have infiltrated his government. To do what? Must the North continue to rule? What devils?
people worry that what Boko Haram is doing right now in the north might lead to a breakup of Nigeria. Others say we are too interwoven to split. Where do you stand?
Today with every anointing on me, and I declare the Boko Haram's camp cursed. I declare their collaborators cursed. I decree their sponsors cursed. Lord, if it is your will to break up Nigeria, break it now. Aziketu Koreasha, Eberekete Sisoreabo, Akitekeke, Kokikatakota, Bekeruta Suse, Eyesha. Come on, pray in the spirit, everybody. Pray in the spirit. Open fire. Call down the Holy Ghost fire to descend on the camp of the enemy. Enough is enough. Akatiketoko, Breketu Karatu, Yeshekiki Korea, Bebe, Obrakanosa, Obrakanosa, Akiketoka, Yeshishiketo, Ebukatekeno.
To stir up emotions, but it is impossible to forget that men, women, and children of our kith and kin were taken out of their beds and slaughtered. They were massacred in places of worship, in the streets, in marketplaces, and in vehicles trying to carry them to safety.
Our people were being massacred all over Nigeria. And to be able to give them better protection in the circumstance available, when within the means available to me, what was done was, once you cross this line, you are home and safe. And Biafra, to a large extent, was in fact that line. I cannot go to Kaduna and bring people back.
Achebe said he was disappointed by the fact that Nigerians weren't learning about Biafra in school. Why is that?
Officials especially do not want to confront their own history, especially a history of which, in the making of which they themselves feel uncomfortable. But if we don't confront our own history, and that's a cliche, if you don't confront your past, you're going to mess up your future. It's obvious.
Yeah.